Okay, without further ado, excellence in church ministry. And so just to get us all, to make sure we're not sleeping, we're going to do a poll. Okay, so the poll is, this is the poll. We're going to start off with the poll. Okay, and in this poll, we're going to ask you which you think more aptly describes excellence in church ministry. What does it mean to be excellent? So we have two options here. Let's read this. So first option, church excellence in church ministry is this: the church witnesses to the perfection of God, and so we must strive to model high standards of service that even the world looks up to. Doesn't God deserve the best? So when volunteers don't meet stated requirements, they should be reminded. And if they get offended, it can't be helped. The ministry still has to go on. Is that your view of excellence? Or is it the second option? Volunteers are already so busy with their full-time jobs and families, and God is a God of grace and nobody is perfect. So when volunteers don't meet the stated expectations, we should just graciously overlook and avoid confrontation to preserve friendships. If not, who will even be willing to step up and serve at all if we are not gracious about it? So here we have two options, okay, and we are going to have a poll now. I think Wenshan will put up a poll for us all, and we think carefully in your own context, or according to what you think excellence is. Which statement, A or B, do you think more aptly describes excellence? When we think about excellence in church ministry. So can we have the poll up now,
Yep,
Wenshan?
yep.
Let's see.
I'll launch the
Let's see
poll.
what we think.
All right.
Okay, so the results are that 14 of us choose option A, and about 5 of us choose option B. Now, I don't know whether you found it difficult to choose between A or B. Actually, I intentionally put it such that it's a bit hard to choose, right? Because honestly speaking, okay, yes, just to make it clear, there's no perfect answer. There's no right answer for this poll. It's just how we think things and how we view things. And in fact, by now, I think you will gather that actually being excellent is all about balance. It's all about balance. Because we are not perfectionists, right? We are not, we don't exactly follow the secular standards. We don't like, wow, if you don't do this properly, we're going to punish you, we're going to sack you, we're going to, kick you out, that kind of thing. We don't run like that in church. We all know that, right? So really, both statements are valid. If you think about statement A is the task-oriented perspective, if you like to put it that way, right? We have things to do. There are jobs to be done, okay? And there are certain standards to be met. And that is all true, right? But we have to think about B as well. B is, if you like, the people oriented perspective, right? And you know what? In reality, both must come together in some tension, all right? So if you think about the jobs and the work to be done, and also the people, the people that need to be nurtured, the people that need to be, equipped to ensure that they can serve God in the best way possible, okay? Now, we may think, oh, actually, wow, this one is only relevant for church, but actually that's not true, because if you think about the secular world, we also have a balance between A and B. A, if you like, can be the strategy for any secular organization, and B is the HR, right? So, even in the secular world, they also know that you have to take care of the people as well. You can't just aim for your targets, and, you have to make them feel, that they are, worth, in a way, how you say it, like when they are hired, you have to make them feel that they are secure in their jobs, so that they can perform the best, okay? Now, in the church context, I'm going to draw an analogy here. In the church context, it's quite the same, because, of course, we have work to do, and God has tasked us with things to do, with ministries to run, with services to do. But we also want to equip believers. We want to make sure believers serve to their best potential, their greatest potential, and they give their best to God. Okay, so in any consideration of excellence, these two must come together, right? So let me just move on. We can take away the poll now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let me just move on. Our theme verse for excellence is actually taken from Colossians 3:23. Okay, now what I've done is actually I've actually gone a little bit back to the literal Greek. Okay, so I this is my translation of Colossians 3:23. Whatever is to be done, work at it from your inner being as unto God and not unto men. So this is a bit more literal. Now, I use this translation because I want to bring out 3 points for our consideration today. 3 things to note about this verse. When we say unto God, when we say we work unto God, okay, this brings our personal commitment to God into the picture. Okay, so when we work at it, okay, it's not just, oh, we're just working, independent from, our relationship with God. Actually, we bring it in. All right, so we work unto God. And so we work, just from that place of personal relationship with God. Okay. The second thing to note about this verse is that this is actually a plural verse. You cannot quite see it in the English, but in the Greek, it's very obvious. When they ask you to work at it, the imperative work there is actually a plural form. Okay. So what we're saying here is that, of course, we have individual things to do, but it does not also exclude working together as a team. Okay, so it's just quite there's a range of interpretation here. Okay, it could just be all of us working together individually, but it could also be all of us working together as a team. Okay, and then finally, not unto men. So when we talk about not unto men, I think what Paul was referring to here partly is that we want to exclude any self-serving motivation, meaning we are not serving in church to reach any personal ambition. Okay, because that should be left out of the door. Okay, when we talk about church and Christianity is where we deny ourselves, is where we deny ourselves the rights, is where we put ourselves outside our comfort zone, and we want to stretch ourselves, and we want to be vulnerable, and we want to be humble. We want to learn the way of Christ, just as he washed feet and he went to the cross to die for all of us. We want to model the same. So when we think about serving excellently, we also want to exclude any ambition, personal ambition on our part. It's not, ruthless, corporate world kind of thing that we're talking about. Okay. So let me move on. So therefore, what do we really mean by excellence? Okay, I think based on all this, this is a definition that I think is we can work with. And here is the definition of excellence for me, in terms of church ministry. Excellence is the pursuit of perfection in a community of grace. Let me just repeat that. Excellence is the pursuit of perfection in a community of grace. And we need both ends, like I said, we need both to come together. Okay, the pursuit of perfection part, which is all the goals and all the standards that we want to meet, but also the community of grace, where we also nurture, where we also, understand, we reconcile, and if there's conflict, we have to resolve it and we move on. Okay, so both are necessary as we think about excellence. Okay, because you can't just have one without the other. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. But let me just go through what does pursuit of perfection and what does community of grace mean. Okay, so like I said just now, the pursuit of perfection can be the task-oriented perspective, while the community of grace is the people-oriented perspective. You take care of the people. Okay, pursuit of perfection is the doing part, and the community of grace is the being part. Okay, so another way to look at it is, of course, the pursuit of perfection provides the standards for us to follow, and the community of grace provides the care that we receive and we also give to one another. Okay, pursuit of perfection points to the purpose, why we exist as a ministry team, what we are here for, what are the things, what are the roles that God has given us to do as a particular ministry. Whereas community of grace points to welfare. Okay, how then, are we supposed to perform our best, team dynamics and things like that? Pursuit of perfection prevents fruitlessness. If we are just gathering together, we don't really know what we're doing. Okay, if we are not striving somewhere, then we're just going to be, just gathering for the sake of gathering. We're just going to be a social club. okay? But we want to be fruitful. Of course, the Bible has taught us to be fruitful as well. So as we pursue perfection, that gives us that kind of aim and drive to be fruitful. But of course, community of grace in balance, okay, prevents legalism. So we're not just going to put down your JD, as we ask for ministry volunteers. It's not just about JD, and say, oh, you have to fulfill this, and you fulfill well, we give you bonus. You don't fulfill well, we kick you out. We give you commission if you fulfill well, that kind of thing. It's not about that, and we're gonna come down very harshly on you. It's not about that at all. Okay, we want to prevent the legalism that is actually not present in Christianity, right? Again, pursuit of perfection reflects God's holiness and justice. Are there standards to be met? Yes, there are standards to be met. Just as also God expects us to fulfill certain ethical norms. God expects us to love one another. God expects us to, there are expectations, all right? But of course, community of grace reflects God's love and compassion on the other side as well, okay? Pursuit of perfection keeps us from unfaithful witness. Okay, so for example, if we don't do what we are supposed to do, then how are we going to be faithful witnesses? So for example, in missions, for example, if Audrey just becomes very lazy, like, okay lah, this year we don't have to do anything lah, we can just, especially COVID, I just don't do anything, and then we just gather together. Then that is not pursuing perfection. Okay, and then what kind of witness are we if our missions arm is not really active, that kind of thing, right? But of course, community of grace keeps us from selfish ambition, and that I talked about just now, right? It's not, wow, me coming into church and I'm going to prove myself to other people. I'm going to prove that I'm a wonderful leader. If that is your aim, then I think church is really the wrong place to do it, because you're not going to be rewarded much. Right. So, like I said, this definition of excellence, the two parts has got to come together. Okay. You can't have one without the other. In fact, it will be very, very disastrous if you just have one without the other. Right. If you just have pursuit of perfection, you're going to get a bunch of perfectionists. Okay. And they will be so hard on each other. They will, kill one another trying to get the job done. And that is much like the way of the secular world, of course, right? But if you just have community of grace, just everybody just sit around, okay lah, you do what you like lah, you all think about what you want to do on your own time, and then everybody just doing your own thing. Oh, this is what you did, ah. Oh, it's not quite there, but okay lah, we just, forgive, we don't talk about it, that kind of thing. That's not good either. Okay, so you cannot have one without the other. Okay, so later on in our breakout rooms, we can explore this question a bit further as well. Okay, but let me move on for now. I hope you all are getting it. Okay, so what then do we have to do to make sure our ministry teams are up to scratch and are, one, pursuing perfection, and two, building a community of grace? I want to suggest 4 recommendations, and these recommendations really, again, come from the time where, I was on staff, and I think about, how church dynamics and teams and ministry teams work together. Okay, so I want to introduce 4 recommendations. I wonder if these 4 things are present in your particular church ministry. So the first thing I want to talk about is structures of accountability and care. Okay, so if you have your ministry team, do we have structures of accountability and care all the way from the pastor or the pastoral staff down to every single volunteer? Is there a certain authority structure, which of course on top of it must be the ministry leader and or the pastor? Okay, and the reason for this is it meets the dual purpose. Okay, first of all, in terms of pursuit of perfection, okay, so that whatever we do as a ministry team, it is in line, it is in sync with what the church is driving. And that's why we have the pastor or the pastoral staff or the ministry leader up there, and these people report, of course, to the LCEC and to other committees higher up. Okay, so we want to make sure our ministry team is together, with the church mission and vision, even as we move together. Okay, so even as we impose standards, right? Okay, this is what a cell group leader should do, this is what a worship leader should do, this is what a mission trip leader should do, this is what a Sunday school teacher should do. If we want to make sure that all that we want to do is in line with what the church wants to do. Okay, and that's why we are all accountable. Okay, and we are accountable to each other, and we are accountable to our church leaders, and thus we are accountable to God. Okay, and also structures of accountability, so that it meets the community of grace. We can form communities of grace as we gather together and we are accountable to each other, not just in terms of standards, but also that in being together in accountability groups and settings or ministry teams, okay, we can give each other attention. Okay, so each volunteer also has a place, to air, like, oh, I don't think this is quite right, the kind of thing, or I don't think, this is the way it should be done. Okay, and we can also come together to support one another. Okay, and that's why we have structures of accountability and care. Second thing I think every ministry should have is a clear SOP. Okay, B is a clear SOP, and this SOP should detail the expected commitment from each volunteer. So for example, you're expected to come in once a month. You're expected to be on duty once a week or whatever it is, or hopefully not once a week, once every few months, or what is the expectation? And on duty means what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to come early, you're supposed to dress a certain way, you're supposed to prepare, you're supposed to do what. Okay, and this is there are a few reasons why we want to do this. First of all, in terms of pursuing perfection, we want to make sure that existing volunteers are constantly reminded about these are the standards that we want to meet as a ministry. Okay, this is what we have set, this is the goal we want to make. So it means that all members are supposed to serve this way and to fulfill certain obligations. Okay, so that we can move together, so that existing volunteers can be reminded. And if you have new volunteers coming your way, okay, and they ask, oh, okay, this is the ministry I want to join, what does the commitment entail? So there's something to show them, so that they can consider, oh, I think, I have to be on duty, twice a week, twice a month, or whatever it is. So they think about the cost of discipleship in that sense. They think about, oh, okay, whether they are able to commit. Okay, and I think everything in black and white, is better than, you just pull people in, then you don't even tell them what they are up for, and then you just sort of, trick them into ministry teams, and then after that, they are like, yeah, that guy, kena tua, because I didn't know it's a weekly commitment, but wow, now every week I have to go and serve so siong, that kind of thing. Okay, so that everything is in so-called black and white, and it's very clear what people are supposed to be doing. Now, having an SOP also aids in the formation of a community of grace, so that we all know what our roles are and the team together understands each other. So for example, if you are in AV, for example, and one person on sound, one person on camera, that kind of thing. Today the camera didn't work. Why is it, we didn't patch together properly, or we didn't coordinate, what's going on? Oh, then we look at the roles again, like, oh, I see. Okay. So that, we understand each other. Oh, I didn't do this. You didn't do this. Oh, because, I see. This is your problem. The kind of thing. I didn't know that. So we can also support one another. We can understand one another. Okay. And where mistakes are made, where there are mishaps, it doesn't become personal. It's not like, every time I'm on duty, that guy always don't on my camera, the kind of thing, or always, but he has certain constraints and he was trying to fulfill his SOP on his end or something like that. So if everything is laid out properly, I think it will help us to understand each other and to reconcile. Okay, let's move on. I have 4 recommendations. So these are 2. The first one is structures of accountability and care, and the second one is a clear SOP. And thirdly, I think we need platforms for regular reminders, reviews, and affirmations. Okay, now how regular is regular? I think that will be up to each ministry to decide. Okay, whether they have to meet weekly, probably, hopefully not weekly, maybe monthly. And how does this help? Well, in terms of pursuit of perfection, meeting together, to remind each other this is the purpose and the mission. Okay, and we drill that in. Okay, let's remind ourselves again as we gather. This is what we are here for. We are here to, I don't know what, for AV team will be support AV, make sure pastor is heard, make sure worship team is heard. For missions team, we have to make sure our missionaries are cared for, and that resources are going to our mission fields, that kind of thing. Whatever it is, okay, that we come together and we remind ourselves this is the role that we are playing in. Okay, and we want to achieve the stated goal, and this is why we are here, okay? And then also these regular platforms can be a place where feedback can be given. Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay, if that's the case, we're not quite meeting this objective, in the things that we're doing. We're falling behind on this. We need to review this, okay? So these are platforms where we can engage each other and to remind each other. And of course, also gathering together helps in building a community of grace so that, for example, victories can be celebrated. Oh, that team, they did well, oh, that team, they did well, that kind of thing, and we can celebrate one another. Our team did well in this, that kind of thing. And of course, volunteers can always do with more encouragement because they are serving out of their heart. And sometimes it's really, really tough to serve. And sometimes they meet all kinds of oppositions and they meet all kinds of nasty, even church members or whatever it is, or people outside. So, there's a place for them to, feel that, oh, here's a bunch of people that, are like-minded, they understand where I'm coming from, that kind of thing. So as they serve, there's also grace to be given and grace to be shown to them, okay? And finally, I was thinking about this. Finally, D is tailored approaches. Now, what do I mean by this? I think it's very clear in scripture that the faithful will and the more capable can be given more to do. Okay? We don't need everybody in the ministry team to be given the same amount of work. Sometimes, for some reason, some people struggle, and perhaps for a season, they need to drop out or they need to get less commitment, whatever it is lah. Huh? Or some people, they are just really rearing to go, or they are in a place in their journey with God where they want to particularly discover their gifts. They want to think about perhaps full-time ministry. They want to really delve, because it's their personal conviction. They want to delve into ministry. Now, these people, there should be opportunities for them to be given more to do. All right. And likewise, for the people who are struggling, there should be perhaps seasons where they are given less, or even avenues where they can step down. Okay, so that's what I mean by tailored approaches. Yes, there's an SOP. This person is supposed to do this person is supposed to do that. But I think there must be some flexibility as well. Oh yeah, you can be doing this, but you can take on more, because we need leaders in this, and you have proven yourself and you are committed, you are dedicated. We want you to do more. Okay, or we understand there's a personal struggle, but this particular time you can step down. We will cover you, the kind of thing. Okay, so again, in terms of pursuit of perfection, all right, individuals who are discerning their role in the body, they are thinking about, oh, should I go into this more? Or, they are trying to discover their gifts and all that, right? They can be stretched to take on more, okay? But of course, in a community of grace, tailored approaches also means that individuals can take on less if they need to, or if they can step down completely for whatever reason. Okay. So again, these are some of the things that I thought are really crucial when we think about being excellent. Okay, and again, I want to reiterate that being excellent, you have to balance both. If you think about, wow, just think about it for a while. Huh? You look at this usher team, for example. Wow, this usher team is really efficient. Wow, wow, very smooth, the operations. One person comes with the welcome pack, the other person comes, they're counting, they're giving the offering back. Wow, very smooth. But what if you realize that actually behind the scenes, they are backbiting, they are killing each other, they are so harsh, with their words. There's no grace at all. Would you call this team excellent? Or you look at another team where, wow, they are such good friends, they get along together so well, but actually they don't really fulfill any purpose. They just like, oh, okay, we just like to meet together, we enjoy each other's company, but it is not in terms of it's not pursuing any goals that the church has set out for them. Would you also consider them excellent? So again, these two have to come together, okay? And these are the 4 ways which I think I believe every church ministry team should have in order to pursue excellence. Okay, and again, excellence, you got to balance the 2 ends. So in terms of these 4 recommendations, now we're going to have a second poll. I think you've heard enough. Okay, I want this to be a bit more interactive as well. Okay, so now we have this poll here, And I wonder whether you have, you know, as you're hearing these four things, there's one particular thing that, you know, jumps out to you. So, oh, you know, this one, yeah, we particularly need this in my ministry right now. Okay. And so in this poll, I think we have given an option for you all to choose only one. So I want you all to pick only one. Of course, there could be many, many things lacking, perhaps in your ministry team, not so good, but you know, we just want you to think about maybe just one thing that you feel is most needed. If you have two or three options that are, you know, you jump out at you, just pick one. I want to move on to our, okay, so what we're going to have now is we're going to have a breakout session. Okay, we'll be randomly assigned 4 breakout rooms. Okay, and in the breakout rooms, I think we are free to discuss any of the following things. Okay, so first of all, you could perhaps think about the definition. Okay, so the definition that I propose, what do you think of this definition? Of course, this definition is not like, wow, you know, the perfect definition. It is my perspective. And of course, I'm very happy to hear what you have to think about this particular definition of excellence. Okay, so that's question one. Question two, you can also think about, perhaps this is more on sharing, you know, what happens when, you know, when we have two things to balance, pursuit of perfection versus community of grace. Okay, oh, sorry, it should be pursuit of perfection there. Huh? Pursuit of perfection versus community of grace. And you know, what happens when one is overemphasized and the other is neglected? Okay, so you can perhaps relate some experiences. Okay, or number three, you can talk about the 4 recommendations and you want to say, well, you know, actually, yeah, you know, I think really this one should be, you know, put together. We should have this in our ministry team. This is particularly lacking, and you have particular reasons on why you have chosen that. Okay,
should I end the poll now?
4, yeah, I see number 4 is the most in a way most subscribed. Okay, and followed by 3 and then 1 and 2. Okay,
this is we have a bit of time left to answer questions, so I'll be helping Daniel to moderate this session. One question I have, if you were to sort of like sum up this whole session, right, in maybe a line or two, what would that be? What do you think would be the real take home for today's session?
I think when we talk about excellence, the first thing we talk about, the first thing that comes to our mind is goals and pursuing, you know, certain standards. I want to challenge us to think about excellence. Yes, the standards are there, the goals are there, and perhaps we need to push ourselves. But think about not just pushing yourself, but pushing the entire team with you, pushing the entire group of people with you, because none of us are in ministry teams alone. We all function, you know, none of us are doing this alone. You know, we all function in teams. And so when we talk about excellence, it's not just that one person in that group was you know, excellent, but we talk about the whole team together being excellent. And so I think where groups come together, where people come together, there will be differences of opinion, there will be conflict, there will be disagreement. But I think this is why we probably need to instill the community of grace part, so that we can move together. I think so. Excellence doesn't mean these goals do not exist, but we reach there together. And what are some of the ways we can reach there together? I suppose that's the main thing, I think, hopefully that all of us take away today. Yeah. So I think, yeah, I think working with Kenneth, he was my cell group ministry head when I was a staff there. So it was a huge ministry to move together. But I think, yeah, so I think some of these things that I have talked about, some of the things that, you know, we have learned along the way to put together as well, to bring the whole ministry, to shift everyone along. So, yeah.
Perhaps I could raise that issue.
Yes.
The topic of racism has come up quite frequently over the last couple of weeks in various forms: interracial marriage, different religions, intolerance towards each other, etc., etc. In our pursuit of excellence and perfection in the name of Jesus Christ, how can we be more inclusive as a church so that we are more tolerant towards other races joining our worship, other genders? There's always a very distinct divide in audiences, male, female, old, young. I think it's important for us as we go forward to be a lot more inclusive, more cohesive amongst the various age, race, demographics. And one way to do it, which happens unfortunately only on Christmas or special occasions, is where there's a lot more combined activities. We have both the Chinese and the English churches coming together for a common event. Age groups, obviously, races, including our Tamil and our Filipino congregations. I think it's beautiful and amplifies the graciousness of God when we see people of different dynamics coming together to worship together. And this is why I think Toa Payoh's TPMC's Light of Christmas is an excellent event that brings not only us together as a congregation, but also embraces the greater Toa Payoh heartland. And that's a perfect example of what I'm trying to describe. But why only Christmas? Why can't it be every Sunday, every day as we walk our lives through the food court or Central or anywhere in Singapore for the matter, not only our heartland. So it's a tough one to comment, but Daniel, how would you approach it from your standpoint, given your excellent presentation?
My excellent presentation. But thank you for that. I think it's a very, very key thing. I think precisely because we want to push both ends of excellence. So it's not just about meeting standards. Because if we are in the business of just meeting standards, then there'll be certain people who are more capable than others. And they will get pushed up and they will get all the attention and stuff like that. But that's not what we want. We want the whole team, we want the whole body of Christ to be moving together in excellence. And for this, we need the community of grace. And I think the community of grace really encapsulates and embraces everything that is Christian, everything that we want to witness about in terms of grace. Exactly what you have talked about, Stephen. So I think that if we truly think about a community of grace, if we really, really capture it well, then all these issues will become, in a way, very happily non-issues. Because it doesn't matter whether, what race you are or whatever it is, but we are all together in this together and we work together as a community of grace. As you know, in any team, there'll be some who are a bit blur, and who fall behind, who just can't, sort of get things together, but we cover one another in that sense. Yeah. And I do really look forward to the day when we really can, as Toa Payoh Methodist Church, be seen to be more, really inclusive and, welcoming ex-convicts, ex-drug addicts, people who have different orientations, different races, different whatever it is, that can we exist as a church, as a forgiving community and stuff like that. I think this is a challenge that will really put to test whether we are excellent in our church ministry. Yeah.
Amen to that.
Thank you.